just saw a dude yesterday, like, just threw out paper towels in the Jack in the Box parking lot and then proceeded to go inside Jack in the Box. A trash can is right beside you.
And that goes back to parenting, man. It's just like, gather your trash up, kids. We gonna go to a trash can.
Yeah.
I will fight you if you litter in my face. Welcome back to another episode of Random Ass Conversations with Twilla and Dion.
Hey, you did it in order. 22.
See, I blew past that because I don't need to respect your name.
Oh, you're going to respect
my
name.
I blew past your name and acknowledge the brand.
Well, you know what? I just have to say, like, you're being a good sport about it, kind of.
Yep.
So,
you know, sometimes you got to just let it go, man.
I mean, I did EP this episode and was behind it, so I just figured, you know,
no,
the name should go first.
Should.
So here I am.
I'm tired of it. I mean, I've already talked to HR about the change, and I feel like they bring it in allegations and who said he said.
Shout out to women for like taking what's rightfully theirs and just standing up for themselves. You know what I'm saying?
The HR is a man.
I'm a woman.
But he's just bandwagoning on the women wave right now.
The women wave.
It's great business. There's a lot of women directors they're getting free passes right now, you know? And I get it. If I was in the business, I would hire all women and then
you sound like an old white man upset and calling everybody diversity hires.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah. Ignoring what the talent's there.
It's good business.
Oh my gosh, Dion. We cannot start this early in the show.
It's happening.
If you're
pro-woman, you can fight with this. You can argue with this.
You cannot believe the stuff that is coming out your mouth.
No, you have to understand. Is it not good business? Do you really think all these businesses really want to hire?
They don't want to hire, but they're now having to hire.
Understand.
But they're finding out that, whoa, I opened the gate and there is so much more talent and unique voices.
Sure, in a perfect world, yes. What I'm saying, women are talented, but a lot of people are doing this because it's good business, it's good headlines.
I can agree with that.
Right. I mean, if
it's also the right thing to do. I would hope some people are just like looking around and saying, you know what? I never noticed that there aren't that many women, or we do overlook women.
It's not that. You
don't think there's no altruism in this at all?
So this is a hypothetical. If it was a construction company and they said, hey, we have 100% men here. We have to hire women because there's a lot of great women construction people here. They're like, yes, we know that, but we are great at lifting things. And I mean, there's a lot of strong women out there, but we don't want to have to kind of maneuver around. Like, a lot of people feel comfortable.
People are having to change their culture. And that's the importance of, that's why there had to be affirmative action laws, because people were comfortable doing what they were doing. Like, they were comfortable with the status quo. And so this is like also the point. Like, I'm glad you acknowledge there are talented women who can do these jobs and brilliant things. But there are people who argue you only got this job because you're a woman, and they take away, or because you're black or whatever, you're the diversity hire, or we had to fill a quota. Right. And the truth is like, I did not just get that because sure, there was a spot, but it wasn't like your spot. They were like, out of this percentage, we got to make sure this amount of people, but they still have to meet like a criteria. Like, you still have to be able to do the work.
You've been a boss numerous years.
Yeah.
Did you hire people from their resume or because you knew them?
I've done both.
You have not hired somebody exclusively from their resume?
Yeah, I have. Dead ass. I was like, dead what? Dead ass. Like, no, I have, because if I'm looking for somebody, like, of course, the first people that I want to hire are people that I know. Mm-hmm. But if everybody's booked, I have to send out and ask for recommendations, and or just say, hey, send me resumes. And one of the best hires actually was somebody that I didn't get to hire for myself, but a friend sent me her resume. The resume was super impressive. I sent it to my friend and said, I'm not hiring right now, but can you look out, like bring her in for a day player? And they were like, this was the best hire we ever had.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that was just through networks and connections. Like her resume was impressive.
Right. But it was a recommendation. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have you're getting a recommendation from somebody you respect. You're not like if somebody say, here, take my resume. Hey, I met you at Starbucks. Here's my resume. Please hire me.
Yeah. Now, what I definitely have, like, it is, so I will say people that I don't know that I hire a lot of times come from people that I trust because they're good workers. And then I'll reach out to them, read the resume. I don't ever blind hire anybody. I call them first, of course, to make sure they not crazy, because when it comes to hiring, I'm always like, that's my name on there. So I don't care and the people that I know, like my mentees, they know, like, I'm like, if you act crazy, I'm never recommending you. There's people like I don't respond to now who acted crazy on a job. Like, I can't help you. Like, and you made my name look bad because I recommended you for this.
Right.
So you're dead to me.
So, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not anti-woman or I'm not pro-man. But like if you going on a girls trip, that is exclusively
this weekend. Hey,
that's
Usher.
exclusively your thing, right?
Yeah.
What do they say? Hey guys, before y'all go on this girl trip, you got to bring one guy. Is that cool? You can be like, what? Why? He's like, because they're saying that there's a quota for groups. You be like, we have exclusive conversations that we talk exclusively about ourselves. Why we have to bring them? It's like, it's kind of a thing now. They say if it's 10,
I don't like this analogy.
Why not?
Because one is for fun and one is actually livelihood. Like you excluding people from jobs and education.
What if I really want to go?
Okay, I told you what dates we were going.
But what if I really want? Would y'all be like I guarantee if you text your friends and say, hey, we're going. Is it cool if Dion can come?
They'd be like, yeah,
Why?
he just can't get this. They were like, well, we didn't talk about this, but he can get his own room.
Yeah, that makes sense. But what I'm saying is, like, see, I'm being like, so, it's making it awkward.
No, but I'm also saying, like, there's something. So there is still that exclusivity, right? When you bring, a lot of times, women will talk about, especially when you're like one of the only women or one of the other people in color, in a work environment, there's still a boys club. Like, people still go golfing together, they'll go to strip clubs together, and exclude. So there's still that culture of exclusivity. Just because I'm working there doesn't mean that you've actually brought me into the fold.
Yeah, and like I said, when you're really comfortable with your race, when you're really comfortable with your crew or your gender, you're open. It's like, we're working, we're having fun, and it's like, now we're bringing in like essentially a spy or a foreigner. It's kind of like, we got to kind of like watch what we say now. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but that's why a lot of people avoid not somebody they're familiar with, because it's like, now we have to kind of shake things up.
Right.
So like I said, I understand why we hire people, and I understand why people don't want to hire people they don't recognize or don't know or have never worked with, because it's like, it's, you know, if like I said, we work here. Yeah. And if all of a sudden, you know, a young white kid comes in and wants to be our intern, our conversation is going to change tremendously.
Right. Or anybody, because like, we have a rapport of however many years we've been working together. Right. And so anybody come in and it kind of be like, how do you function with this person? So yeah, there's definitely that. And you want it to feel like a good mix and kind of vibe, and that you get along with each other. And I've definitely worked in spaces where I was an outsider, and I kind of felt that outsider, not because the people were like rude, but it's because they've known each other for years.
Right. And but on the outside, watching how they're talking feels like, I think y'all talking a little too comfortable, and I don't like that, and now I have to report that.
Well, I mean, like, okay, let's just have common sense. Like, you just can't be, like, as if it was men talking, you just can't be like, your conversation, you shouldn't just be like, ooh, look at her rack or whatever.
What if it's me and the boss, and he's like, how's your wife doing? You know what, I hate her. I hate how she's been holding her face up and she's been talking to me. She said B this and F this, and somebody walks in like, whoa, what y'all talking? Why are y'all talking this comfortable about a woman? And it's like, no, it's cool. We know each other. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like we were raised together. This is practically his.
Well, I mean, like, there's workplace decorum though. Like, there's professionalism, and there's certain things that inform what professionalism is. So it's just like, hey, well, we'll have to have this conversation after hours.
Yeah. Oh, well, somebody's coming. Oh, somebody's coming in. So never mind. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do they say? Hey, I don't feel comfortable because every time I walk in, they say we got to talk about it later.
I mean, well, that's you. Stop walking in on conversation.
All right.
Yo, did you hear?
Let's go.
I'm switching it up. That in LA, it's official that if you go to any indoor public space, that you have to be able to prove that you're vaccinated or show, your vaccine.
Not a great idea. Ask me why, Twills.
Why, Twills?
Stay out my business, man. No, because it's card stock.
Did they not accept pictures? Because I got my picture on my phone.
It's card stock. All I'm saying, so people can create the vaccine card and take a picture of it. So they only got to actually fill it. They can just actually do it on regular paper and take a picture of it and say, hey, I don't have it on me.
So we probably have to carry the card.
It's not even smart, man, because people are going to get around. You mean to tell me like 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds who's not are supposed to drink, they figure out how to get IDs?
Well, I mean, but it doesn't deter. Like it helps deter like those who are by the law people or who wouldn't necessarily think to let me create this fake ID. We also all got emails that had if you got vaccinated, we got emails that had the thing too. So LA County's reasoning is saying like, hey, it's absolutely your right not to be vaccinated, but is your decision not to be vaccinated impacts us all. So therefore, if you're coming to libraries, if you're coming to, the public rec centers, town hall, we're asking you to be vaccinated. And I see it as a bad idea and a good idea.
Why?
Good idea because it really is at this point a matter of public policy. Like the Delta variant rates are increasing. Like I read somewhere like LA has like 3,000 something new cases a day of COVID, which at one point it was way lower than that. And now like with the first wave of COVID, only 1% of children were hospitalized. Right now it's 20% of children are being hospitalized, and school is about to start, right? And a lot of places, not in California, they're making it mandatory for kids to wear masks and for teachers to be vaccinated, or if they're not vaccinated, to get tested every week, or to submit to like a testing schedule. But there's places where states like Florida, where the governor, Ronald Dion DeSantis,
goddamn right, the name Dion,
he's saying that it's, parents' choice if their kids want to wear masks. Mm-hmm. And I saw this like heartbreaking thing this morning where it's pretty much like there's a 4-year-old kid who had to be intubated. He had COVID-19, had to be intubated. And the parent is like, what do I now tell my 6-year-old about, like, to prepare them that their sibling might not come home? And then they furthered it and said the parents left the mask choice up to their kids. The 4-year-old will always put on 2 masks, and the 6-year-old would never put on a mask. So it's like, this is what happens when you let it be a choice.
Is there an option of virtual still?
A lot of places are pushing for, I don't know about California, but I know most states are pushing for in school.
Yeah, that's where the money's at.
Yeah. They're trying to, for whatever. I get it. You want to go back to as much normalcy as possible, but we're not there. We're still living in a pandemic.
We lost a whole year. It blows my mind. Like, my daughter's sophomore year is gone.
Yeah.
The end of her freshman year, gone. Mm-hmm. That's crazy to me. It blows my mind.
And that was the fun time in school because, like, junior year got serious.
It got real, man.
You're like, oh, I got to apply for college. I got to make sure I have a GPA that's decent enough. It's competitive because, you know, next thing you know, you're applying for colleges. So that really does, like, it does suck. Kids lost a lot. You know, we all lost a lot during that time.
This is that what you gonna do vibe right now.
Yeah.
It's like you can fight all you want. You can be stubborn and persistent on not taking the vaccine or not taking your child to school or not wearing the mask. Government's like, die.
Just die.
If you're stubborn enough to not follow our rules, what you gonna do?
Right.
And we want you to die.
Yeah.
And it's gonna make our lives a lot better because you're gone. And it sucks because it's like it's
population control.
It's get down or lay down. Do what we say do, or figure out what's gonna happen if you don't. There's no other option.
And it's funny because they're like, we still want you to go out. We want you to go to clubs and have fun. We want this. Just get vaccinated. Yeah. Put on a mask.
People don't realize how powerful the government is. Like we always say, like we're economy that we're a country that they have to do what we say. We the people. Y'all are our employees. What is it?
We hire you.
Yeah. What is the is it communist? What is it?
Democracy.
Democracy. I'm sorry. Yes, we're democracy country.
Democratic. Country.
Come on, that's what I was looking for.
We're a democracy is what we are.
We're a democratic country.
Yes.
But the government can just be like we can just shut down currency.
And that's why people are upset because they feel that government has overstepped in telling us that we have to wear masks. They feel like government has overstepped in saying, you know, you need to get vaccines because they're saying that's not the government's role in society. Government's role is to be small and not to be this invasive. And now you're impeding our basic freedoms.
I mean, at this point, they are in control 100%. I have to say they are in 100% control of like we're waiting for them to be like, hey, can we go back outside? Hey, and the people like, now we doing it anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Government people don't care. Like at this point, government's like, hey, you know, if you're gonna be outside, just get a vaccine. Screw you.
Bad parenting, man. This is the problem when it comes to like people who don't have great parents, because now when the government is telling them what to do, there's like, my dad don't even tell me what to do. How dare you?
Listen to you?
Yeah.
You ain't my daddy.
Yeah.
Well, you know what time it is? It is time to pull out our random conversations for the day. As you know, so much to talk about in this world. Clearly, we started off on two different conversations. But we have more topics here in the mug. We're going to pull 3 from them today, and that's going to inform our conversation. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
For the random ass mug. There should be a song for that.
Random
ass.
We got the ram. We got the ram. Well, what that mean? It's a random ass mug.
Harsh ass. Thank you for that song. Harsh ass. Harsh ass parenting. This week, we learned a lot about celebs and their relationships with their children and or parents. From Dr. Dre to Bernie Mac to Future and Quentin Tarantino. I'm not sure why all this information came out this week, but it was certainly interesting. One thing that we found out, I don't know if you're familiar with these stories.
Go for it.
Dr. Dre,
Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Dre, the billionaire. I have to say that. His daughter is currently homeless. So she has, I think, 4 kids or something like that. Her kids stay with friends while she's living out of her car. Again, Dr. Dre is a billionaire. She said she's not spoken to him at the time, and he does not give her money. So that's one topic. Is Dr. Dre wrong in this?
Oh, let me tell you something. Dr. Dre has a wife who has just the amount of money that he does. So she can definitely hit up her mom.
No, they're not married. Her mom and Dr. Dre split up when she was like 5.
She has a stepmom.
Her stepmom does not have to support her.
Why not?
She
called her mom for 30 years.
No, she doesn't have that. Like, she grew up with her mom.
What about her mom? Why she had to hit Dr. Dre?
Her dad is a billionaire.
Yeah, but remember,
like if you could go from one parent to the other. Mm-hmm. I'm like, my mom got like $7,000, and my dad got $1 billion of them. I'm gonna ask my dad.
Mm-hmm. But do we know the history of Dr. Dre and his daughter?
Well, she said at one point that he was helping her out, giving her a monthly stipend, but then she had since been cut off.
When does it end? Like, if I was your son and you took care of me for 30 years, when does that end? It's like, Dion, get a job. I'm like, hey, man, you've spoiled me.
I mean, you got to you have to have a job. We're going to start with the job early to teach responsibility, you know.
Is drugs involved? You know what I'm saying?
We don't know if drugs are involved.
Because, I mean...
But that's a little harsh, like, Dad, like, at least make sure your grandkids got a little something,
She's 39. She's 39.
But...
Like, with children.
She's living out of a car. Her kids are living with other people.
Is it a Winnebago? That's a big difference. Because it's a difference between a Kia Solantra or a Winnebago. She's living.
I think I saw a picture of her in a car.
We gonna give her. We gonna open up a GoFundMe. GoFundMe. We gonna open up a GoFundMe for Dr. Dre's daughter, so she can get a Winnebago, so she can have a car and a house at the same time. We can get a double decker, so her children can stay at the top. And now she can drive to auditions and drive to interviews. And get this money back, man. Leave Dr. Dre alone. He already got half gone. His ex-wife is still kicking him in his shins. And now his daughter said, let me get a piece of him.
Listen, I don't know. Like you said, I don't know what's happening.
Dr. Dre is 67.
He's a billionaire.
He's trying to buy a Bluetooth right now. He's trying to figure out his life, man.
Listen, I again don't know the situation. I do think like at some point your parents do, like, I don't know what her stipend was. I don't know what the deal was. Like, I'm gonna help you get on your feet and that's it. And then she didn't believe him. Like, I don't know. Like, sometimes that happens. Listen, there was one point where my parents cut me off my cell phone and I thought that was tragic. I had to pay for everything else except for my cell phone. And I just went without a cell phone. I was like, I'll show them. I'll show them to cut me off for a cell phone. And then they were like, oh, you thought it was coming back on?
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, you figured it out, didn't you?
I sure did.
Yep.
Well, they stood by that thing.
Yeah, you figured it out.
How dare you?
I'm sick of it, man.
Well, there's also another interesting parenting situation. The late Bernie Mac's daughter stated that her father was really, really hard on her. He always called her soft because she was sensitive. There was an incident where a little boy punched her in her face on the bus, and then her dad saw her face, and then got on the bus and chewed out the little boy, and then came back to her and was like,
why'd you let him?
What'd you do to him? And she was like, or I hope you beat him up, pretty much. And she was like, no. And he was like, listen, tomorrow you go back and you fight him, and if not, you getting a whooping. And so she was like devastated, like, I'm a lover, not a fighter. And you know, and there is that sense. Some kids are sensitive. Like, I was more of a sensitive kid, so I can relate to this. But if you're not in an environment that kind of cultivates or knows how to deal with your emotions, because a lot of people, we don't deal with emotions. We just, stop that crying. Why are you such a crybaby? Now we're not allowed to feel, and we're traumatized when you feel something. So she just said she never felt secure at home. Right. And her father, you know, made up before he passed. But she said she has a daughter very similar, and she doesn't ever want to like give that same experience to her daughter. So she makes sure her house is a safe space. But it really brought to mind, like, you know, the Bernie Mac show and how he was as a character, and
It was real life.
is real life. And for her, that impacted her in a way. And I think a lot of parents can be tough, especially, you know, for whatever reason. They want their kids to be successful, or maybe emotions don't make a person soft, but
Right.
for some reason,
Well,
it's
I mean,
perceived
it
that
goes
way.
back to his parenting. How you know it worked for his father. It worked for his, you know, his mom probably did the same thing to him, and he's like, hey, I turned out great, and this is what happens. Kind of like just along the same lines of when, you know, our parents whooped us. We figure out, oh, this is how you discipline a child, and then you have to break those cycles. Now she's starting to understand that she's triggered by what he did, and now she can break that cycle.
Right.
But you can't blame him for how he disciplined her, because that's how his father did him, because he didn't have the mental therapy of, or revelation, I would say, for him to say, this is not right. Like, understanding how it affects a child.
Do you, at what point, because I think that's absolutely right. I want to state that. Like, that's how he was taught, and that's what he saw, and that's what he assumed to be right. But at what point do you not give a pass to a parent? I know we say, like, when you know better, you do better, but isn't it kind of the parent's responsibility to want better for their child and try to provide better? Like, that excuse of, well, that's how my dad did it, can't always work.
You said at what point?
Yeah, like, what point do we not give a pass for?
Well, you have to, the parent has to understand that. Like, another parent can't tell another parent, don't do that, because that's not right. Because it has worked for that person. It's like a vegan telling you not to eat meat because it's not great. It gives you gallbladders, or it gives you kidney stones. And it's like that happened to you, not me.
Right.
So they have to have their own revelation of this is a problem for them to actually make that change. No adult wants another adult telling them how to raise their child.
Right.
And it's always a thin line between, hey, what like, instead of saying don't hit your child, you go, hey, what happened, and it's like, I need to hear the like let them vent, versus saying don't hit your child.
Yeah.
Because if a parent is upset and they hit the child, it's like, what happened? If it's like, this boy drove my car, hit his girlfriend, and said, I'll do it again. Now he's going to get a knife. I had to hit him. Like, what are you doing? Like, you got, like, I kind of understand now. Versus, like, don't hit your child, because, like, you don't know the full story. Like, you know.
Yeah. So, like, how would you feel though? Like, if or like, I can just imagine having kids and then raising them to adults and be like, whew, I did the best I could. And then turns out, like, your kid is like, that thing that you did that always,
That
you
can
yelling
happen
at me.
to anybody.
Yeah, but it's like, how do you take that as a parent? Like,
You got to have that humbling, I'm sorry. As a father, I did the best I could. And now that I realize it affected you, I apologize. I was ignorant. I was dumb. That's how my mom raised me. That's how my father raised me. I should have never said that to you. Now that I look back, I was 100% wrong. Please forgive me.
so in this case, do you think that's what Quentin Tarantino's mom should say to him? Because he told his mom that he will not be spending his money on her and upgrading her life because she pretty much never believed in him. So you think pretty much his mom just needs to come out and be like,
I mean, now it depends on her pride, because now that she's in the news, like, does she have to do it publicly? Does it have to, like, did she really, like, abuse him to the point that I'm not giving you a dime?
right. I do want to know, like, what was it? Like, why
What's the
did
full
he
story?
have to come out and say
It wasn't to come out. It was a question.
it was a question?
Yeah.
What was the exact question?
So it was a question like, so how's the family? How's your kids? He's like, oh, I did this for my daughter. How's your mom? He's like, I don't talk to her like that. It was like, what do you mean? Man, let me tell you. And then that became the story. It wasn't like, gather around,
I was
children.
like, why did he volunteer that information
So
about your mom?
No,
yeah.
You got a snippet of the
an
interview. And that's what...
I just read a headline.
I know. Because that's news. That's how they sell it. And that's what sucks with media. They grab the best part, the meat of it.
Right.
And then they regurgitate it out and then give their opinion... So because it looks like the celebrity or person is saying only that. It's like me waking up like, I don't like white people no more. But if it was like the whole thing was, you know, my mom used to always wake up and try to burn in my system that white people were devils. She used to always say, I don't like white people no more.
Right.
And if that was the news,
that's the clickbait.
That's the click.
Yeah. What? Dion don't like white people no more?
And it was like, you know, what are your opinions on that?
I'm saving this sound clip for one day.
I'll stick with it.
If we ever fall out.
And but the funny thing is, when you know the truth, you don't have to argue with it. You just be like, just do your research, man.
I wonder how many people that actually work for, though. Like, for people who like, I know the truth, and then like, but you're pretty much like already dragged through the mud, dragged through the streets. Your name is already.
Well, speaking of dragged through the streets, what about the guy you're going to go see this weekend? Remember the whole rumor of him giving a girl herpes? He didn't say nothing about that. He didn't say nothing about it. He's like, I know the truth.
Yeah.
He apparently like raped her or something like that.
Wait, what?
It was something like that, right? It was something like he forced herself onto her, and then he didn't say anything about it, and then it went away. He's like, I know the truth. I don't have to argue with this. I don't need to entertain this.
Well, to the point, I don't even remember that because I don't be going to see people with rape allegations.
You definitely seen Chris Brown with me.
But was that when?
You definitely seen.
When did I see Chris Brown with you?
Okay, you've seen Chris Brown before?
Yes, before.
Exactly.
Before all that.
I was joking. But you definitely seen Chris Brown.
Yeah, like when he was 18, before Rihanna Gate. Yeah, so then last parent is Future. Future was texting with his 8-year-old child, and pretty much the text message went, like, he was like, tell your mom to buy you some clothes or something like that. Or tell your mom. And then the kid was like, what? And she's like, your mom's a hoe.
How's that connect?
It don't. It was random out the blue, but it was your mom's a hoe. His child is 8.
Yeah, that's besides the point. I just need to know what
will
that
show
an
you
accident? I believe you, but I just want to know if it was an accident. Did he not finish it? Was he drunk?
That is what he said.
Yeah, I don't understand how that connect. Hey man, ask your mom for some clothes.
Yeah, I just like, what, sir? And the mom was like, you so dumb. He's 8. So she's the one who posted it. I
hate this internet world, man. Why is
everything's posted right away?
I don't like how everything is. You have to apologize to the world.
So the text message, tell your mom. Kid was like, tell your mom what? Buy you some clothes. The kid said, Dad. He was like, your mother's a hoe.
Definitely drunk. Because it doesn't even make sense. He didn't even put it together. Like everything was its own chapter of a book.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I don't know what's up with that. So that all happened this week with parenting conversations. I thought that was interesting. Mm-hmm. For the next topic. Hot ass.
Hey.
Hot ass planet.
Let's go.
This is important.
It's important.
The UN put out a 3,500 page report. First of all, who is doing 3,500 page reports?
3,500?
Yes.
3,500.
3,500 page report about the current state of climate change, and obviously it was not good. The report said that humans are unequivocally to blame for global warming because of greenhouse gas emissions. Basically, we cannot blame it on nature. This planet should be something that we all care about because we all live here. But why is it that we never have these discussions, or we don't really talk about it on like platforms that we listen to?
It's not making us money.
So this is what I just want to pull out a couple of bullets.
Go for it.
So they did a report in 2018 where they pretty much predicted that we had to like 2030 to turn the ship around.
2030?
Yes. But now it's kind of like they're saying the climate crisis is here now. We have to deal with this now. Part of the issue is humanity's reliance on fossil fuels, and it has warmed the planet. So in the report, because they're the UN and the rest of the world use Celsius, so they're like, that planet has warmed 1.2 degrees Celsius. That doesn't sound like a lot until you translate it to Fahrenheit, which is 34.16 degrees.
34.
Yeah, so the world's climate has increased by 34 degrees, which going from 70 to 104 is a huge deal.
Wow.
And they said the predicted threshold is of the tipping point. So basically, when we get the world's climate or temperature goes to 34.7 degrees, we will be beyond the risk of which extreme drought, wildfires, and floods will increase dramatically. But guess what? Those things have already increased dramatically, right? We're seeing most of the fire seasons have the biggest fire seasons have happened in the last couple of years. California is fighting wildfires up north. There's like the Dixie Fire there. But then if you look across the world, like there's, I think it's Eastern Europe. A lot of places are fighting forest fires there. Somewhere in Northern Africa, like lots of places are on fire right now.
Right.
Last year was already the hottest year on record. There's a couple of things that they said was irreversible. So we have like sea levels rising. So shores are disappearing, and the acidity of the ocean. Pretty much the ocean will never get back to its natural pH balance. We still have it's going to take thousands of years to get the glaciers back to where they were. We're going to see continued wildfires and droughts. And one thing, living in Southern California, we've been in a drought for a very long time. Right now, it's at the place like near Fresno and stuff. A lot of farmlands are having to rely on water from like underground lakes, like that's wells or whatever. But the wells are now depleted.
Wow.
So now they're having to ration out how much water they get. That's our food source. So now that's drought.
Right.
When we have no water, we have drought. A lot of things that impacts like a lot of things. And here in the U.S., 29% of our carbon emissions comes from just everybody having cars and driving cars. So there's things that we can do to help, but we've already caused damage.
Yeah. Let me ask you this though. What you gonna do about it?
Great question. So my next car is definitely going to be electric or hybrid, because first of all, gas is expensive in these streets.
Damn all that. What you gonna do about it though? What you gonna do about it? You buying a new car? Yes, hybrid. What you gonna do about it? How you putting the word out there? Are you gonna tell people?
Well, right now I'm putting the word out here.
This gonna be
this
a
is
soundbite?
important.
Okay.
Yes. Also, I think that we have to advocate, like even here in the studio, although we both like practice recycling in our own respective places, like here in the studio, we need to embrace that.
Right.
We need to care about, and I'll say this like as a Christian perspective, like if you go the book of Genesis, the Bible says straight up, like, you know, God gave us dominion. And so we're supposed to take care of this earth. And I don't think a lot of churches necessarily preach that.
Right.
But that's a thing. Like, this is the planet that we're given, and we have to take care of it. And now, like, when you think about people going to Mars, you're like, because this planet is about to...
it's a wrap.
Yeah, this planet is a wrap, and they got to go somewhere else for mankind to exist. But...
Yeah, I think the biggest issue is balance. Earth, saving it is the last thing in a lot of people's life, which it should be first because it's literally the body of this universe. The body of this place. When it comes to taking care of yourself as your mind, body, and soul, people are like, how am I getting money? How am I going to provide for my family? What am I going to eat? How am I going to work out? How am I going to have generational wealth? Then I'm thinking about the earth. Because nobody's not like,
but generational wealth means nothing if the planet's too high.
Why are people thinking about the earth? They're not thinking about the earth is going to give me money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If they figure out a way how they do with the vaccines, like, hey, recycle, we'll give you guys, $15 off in your student loans or something like that. Like, they got to figure out a way to profit from us saving the earth.
Right. So, two thoughts that trigger. One is, and I keep saying, because that's true, people are saying my generational wealth, but we also have to like get it in our heads that if our kids don't have a planet to live on, our generational wealth and all this that we're doing and hustling for means nothing if they don't have nothing to breathe. So we have to. People don't think about that, but we have to make it part of the narrative, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I hear you.
We have to make that part of the narrative. So one thing, I know you heard about the infrastructure bill passing in the Senate, and it's currently going to House. And for however you feel about the infrastructure bill, a couple of the pieces in it are really trying to tackle. I don't know how bad they're really trying to tackle, but they're addressing some of these things. So like they're working on better public transport, like gasless buses or emissions-free like ferries, more electric car fueling stations around the highways, a better electric grid. So there's things that have been put in place with this infrastructure bill, if it passes, that can help us attack these things. Mm-hmm. A lot of the car companies have put in place, like by 2025, the majority of their cars are all going to be electric or hybrid. But it's also going to take like municipalities on the city level talking about like, let's have more bike lanes, let's be safer for, make our streets safer. Let's have public transportation that's not only gasless, but goes deep into those communities that right now aren't on the public transit route, so that people all have access. And let's make public transit safer so people aren't scared to be on public transit. Right. And let it be on time. Like, there's things that you have to do to make it. It's not all on. It is an individual mandate, but our government, we have to hold them accountable for these things too. And like, you don't see recycling in public places like you used to, and that has to change.
Well, actually, so what's more important, trash on the ground or recycling? Because a lot of people are just like, just don't stuff on the ground.
Right. That trash. I just saw a dude yesterday, like in front of like, well, it was like, I was at Starbucks. He was at Jack in the Box, and just threw out paper towels in the Jack in the Box parking lot, and then proceeded to go inside Jack in the Box.
You just hold on to it, man. And that goes back to parenting, man. It's just like, you gotta check your children. Like, hey, we don't do that.
Right.
Like, hold on to it. Gather your trash up, kids. We gonna go to a trash can.
Yeah. And that's just as important, like, because now trash is like everywhere. We live near beaches. The oceans are filled with trash. We're having a lot of I don't know if you've been paying attention. A lot of like sewage and stuff leaking into the Santa Monica Bay, and so that's going directly into the water. It's so much. There's sites like Superfund sites where big businesses will drain a lot of stuff like into the ground, and a lot of times this causes cancer rates to increase in certain communities. A lot of communities are right by highways, so then you've got the emissions, pollutions, and those cancer rates are increased. There's so much, and I know there's so many issues that we have to deal with as a human race, but we really need to. I'm making it my mission, because it's like, this is bad.
Yeah.
when I did the conversion, I was like 1.2 degrees Celsius. What is that in Fahrenheit?
Yeah.
Jesus, that's hot.
Right. And what is the limit from all, like, from existence, or like last year or something?
I don't know. I don't know when that.
Because if it's like 1 year, that's a problem. But if
Right.
it's like from
Yeah, I don't think it's been.
AD.
I think it's just been since, I want to say like the 60s or something. I could be wrong, but
Still a lot.
it's increased a good amount, and you feel it. Like, I've been in places
Now.
Yeah, it's hot now, and
it's midnight. It's not midnight.
And then that causes like power outages. It's so much that it causes, and these fires. Like,
I'll tell you something, man. If I have time, I will fight you if you litter in my face.
He will.
I hate people that litter. Like it really bothers me, because it's like, it's in your car. When you exit, take the trash out with you. Why do you have to throw it out right now? Is your car that clean that it can't sustain a bag of Jack in the Box?
Like, the things I always hate it, like, when I'm like, a trash can is right beside you, but
It's everywhere. You
were just so lazy or so careless not to care. And I think like that, those are things that, like I said, I'm gonna make it my mission to be more like proactive in educating people about it, because I like to breathe air. I like not to be hot.
Watch this though. I'm also a person that likes to provide food for the homeless, but I'm also a contributor, hoping that the homeless person is going to throw that trash away. He could possibly say, "Thank you, sir," and then throw it on the ground. Where did you get the paper from? I got it from you. So I was an accomplice.
Well, maybe you should make sure you give food away in biodegradable options.
I should give them lettuce wraps. Bare hand lettuce wraps.
That's disgusting. Don't do that. Do not do that. That's a bad idea.
I wish, if God gave me one wish, and it'd be like, God, I'm letting you know this is gonna be a vile wish, because people need to learn their lesson. They say, "What is it, my son?" I say, I want everyone who have ever littered for that trash to be returned inside their house or car immediately.
Have you ever like dropped an apple core or banana peel?
I have. I feel like it dies in the grass.
It's still littering though.
Did you clear your throat before you said that though?
Mm-mm.
You definitely did.
Throat was itching.
But it's biodegradable. It would definitely wither down, and it's going back to the earth.
I'm just saying, it's still considered littering.
But what are you saying though?
It's considered littering.
But a banana peel is definitely littering.
I
It does not break down.
It does.
It does not break down.
Google you put it in your compost, it breaks down.
Google that.
I will.
Does a banana peel break all the way down? It does not. It turns into like a fruit roll up strip. It withers down, but it stayed. That's how far as it go. Yep. Google that.
I'm Googling.
And when you find that is the answer, that can a banana peel break all the way down, I want you to say, "I'm sorry, Master Dion." I need that. All right. I'll wait. Jeopardy music.
You can use banana peels as fertilizer, and it will not harm your plant. Listen.
You Googling the wrong stuff, man.
I put, can a banana peel break all the way down?
No, don't say is a banana peel biodegradable.
The peels of bananas take up to 2 years to biodegrade. Since compost piles offer more ideal conditions to compost in a natural environment, it is even likely Pistachio shells will take even longer. So they do break down,
2
but
years?
it takes 2 years to break down.
It's like a soda can.
Soda cans aren't biodegradable.
I said it's like a soda can. That mug can probably stay there for 2 years.
So, because this whole article is like, the person said, I could throw my banana peel in the ground, right?
No.
And they do shrivel up.
Mm-hmm. Like a strip.
But it says it takes 2 years to do it, where like orange peels take 6 months.
Mm-hmm. What about apple core?
It doesn't say. Oh, hold on.
I'm looking at it myself.
Toilet paper can take 5 weeks or more to biodegrade, depending on whether it's been buried or not. Kleenex would theoretically take longer if using ones that are thicker than toilet paper. Wet wipes take around 100 years to decompose.
Wet wipes.
Dog poop bags biodegrade in around 10 to 20 years.
Really? So why would they even do that to the dog?
The dog poop bags, the
yes.
ones that people use to scoop, yeah.
I thought those were biodegradable. That's the whole point of them giving them out to people.
And it take 20 years to do it.
20 years.
So
them
this
bags
is why
ain't
our
been out 20
landfills
years.
are what they are, like the stuff that is. And then so like I know like people like to use wet wipes and wet ones and stuff when they're at the toilets, but they also said that takes up to, what did I just say? It takes around 100 years to decompose.
Man, y'all mean to tell me wet wipes takes 100 years to break down? First of all, wet wipes ain't been now they 100 years. So how do they even know?
Science.
No. Let me tell you something. If this is the problem, I'm going to wrap my hand with numerous wraps of toilet paper, soak my hand in some water.
They said it takes 5 weeks.
Create my own wet wipes.
There you go. There have been like I read recently
Trying to save Earth.
People saying like wet wipes don't flush wet wipes because they actually clog the toilets.
You think it's gonna stop people from getting wet wipes?
No, because people don't care about the planet. That's my whole thing. That's this whole conversation.
It's time for you to have this discussion. You need to do a master class to save the planet.
Save the world, guys.
We love the earth.
It's just really funny. I don't know if you remember like growing up.
I never remember that.
In Dayton might have been different from Durham. But in Durham, North Carolina, we would read, like we would have like these little weekly readers that we'd get, and it would just pretty much have like the current events. And they talked to us about CFCs and the ozone layer. And the CFCs pretty much were the chemical compounds found in like aerosol cans and things like that. And it was causing a hole in the ozone layer, and the hole in the ozone layer would break down and then make the earth hotter. Like literally remember learning these as kids.
I don't remember this, but I've heard.
Yeah. And so you learn it as a kid, and I don't know if people are just like, that's hogwash. It's nature. Nature is just going to get hotter. That's just how we do. And now we're like sitting in a literal inferno right now.
What is the ozone layer? The ozone layer, is that the shell of like a force field around the earth?
It's like a thin protectant layer that helps protect from UV rays.
Right. So where are the holes at?
Over like
in my future voice.
They're over one of the Arctic circles. I want to say like.
So if there's a hole right there, so is it burning into the earth because there's a hole?
I don't know.
You see, Miss Earth. If there's a hole in the ceiling,
I just know they said there was one over like where the glaciers are. What's that? Antarctica.
And what's happening?
And you see the glaciers melting, and the polar bears. It's so sad. You see like polar bears like looking for sturdy ice caps to be on, and just. So
how big are these holes? Cause I'm thinking like little tiny holes. That's like.
I always thought it was like a growing gape.
When I think about the Earth, I think about like a basketball with a little, so it's like a tiny hole. So I always think like it's a sunlight of, like not sunlight, but like a tiny little beam of
Drilling down.
yeah on one little spot, and it's burning things from there around that area.
So
Twilla's Google gang is trash.
yeah, I'm just trying to see where it's
Twilla's
at.
Google game is trash.
The Antarctic ozone hole, one of the deepest, largest gaps in the ozone layer in the last 40 years, has closed. That's good news, according to the World Meteorological Organization.
You're just a liar all day today. You made me feel like I need to donate some money to Antarctica. Now that mug closed up on his own, like an earring hole.
Well, that's according to downtoearth.org.
That's your fault. So I'm saying your Google game is trash, man. If I say, yo, what does sternocleidomastoid mean? You be Googling things that similar to it, but Dion, it's not the right way to ask the Google.
Well, I don't see you Googling. And if you could do it, you would have done it by now. So you're going to take what I give you. Okay? That's what I thought. Anyway, it was very forceful.
It's kind of a rapey conversation right there.
Don't say rapey.
You just repeated it.
So, but more remains. Let's see.
Y'all.
Anyway, I'm not a journalist. I'm just presenting things that I hear.
Here we go.
What, Dion?
Clearly, we see you reading this, man. We're not assuming that you did the research.
No, yeah, I'm just saying ahead of time. I didn't do the research. So I don't know right off.
Google game is trash.
Oh, Jesus, help me. Any more questions about the ozone that I don't know before we move on to the next topic?
No.
Thank you. Ready?
Yes.
All right. Messy ass.
Oh, we don't wipe that.
Messy ass internets. Or activist, question mark. Civil rights activist Shaun King has been in the news lately for his new 800,000 New Jersey home. People start questioning how he was able to afford the house. His address and images have been circulating so much that people are starting to show up at his home. So now his family has to move. So this was an older topic that we had in here. And the question at the time was, why do we expect activists to be broke? But update, Shaun King put out, like, we now have moving expenses. So we have to get security. We have to move. We need a place to stay in between. So now we're raising money. Cash App this, send money to my wife. So now he's asking the world for money to help him move. So my initial question was, why do we expect activists to be broke? But now I feel like Shaun King kind of fed into that. Let me use my platform to raise money for personal expenses.
Yeah, why not?
Because
how do you get money anyway?
How did he get money?
How do activists get money?
Well, he had a decently successful book, and if you have a nonprofit, you could get paid from your, a salary from your nonprofit. So I think those are ways that you get paid. His wife also is an educator, so she makes money. Not that educators are balling, but she has her own job as well. And the thing about that house initially that he said was that his house was all in his wife's name. So people were questioning, well, how'd you get the money for an $800,000 house? And in this housing economy, let me just say an $800,000 house is pretty much the norm in certain places. That's not stupid amount of money for a house. That's what you're probably going to pay. For sure, if you live in LA. What do they
think he's doing? Sell drugs?
So, no, people are saying he's always raising money for things. And the question came when, I believe Tamir Rice's mom said, you raised money in my son's name for the foundation. We never got that money. Where is it at? Mm-hmm. And other people have said, you're always raising money. And I think one of the things that was stated that he later said he never did was somebody, a lot of people were saying that, hey, just a month ago, you were asking us to send money for your wife so that she could finish school or something like that. And he was like, I'd never used my platform for that. I've never done that.
But did he?
It was never proven.
Right.
But then he came out and said, "I hate to do this, y'all. We got to move. I need money." So I'm like, you did exactly what the people were accusing you of. And the thing was like, it is his personal page, but it's like usually like you have that platform and that page because people come to you for civil rights things and to raise money for causes. But now your cause is your own pocket, and that's where people side eye certain people like.
What are your thoughts on
it? So at first I was like, listen, they were completely wrong for leaking his address. It's horrible that his family has to move. I don't think activists, I don't think pastors, I don't think people have to be broke. You know,
right.
Especially in this day and age, there's so many ways to have multiple streams of income. We're always saying have multiple streams of income. It allows you the luxury to be able to do those more things that usually come with more humble incomes. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if people are just thinking like back in the day, the pastor just stayed in I'll say like the pastor or whoever, like this was their only cause. They didn't have any more money. Mm-hmm. They were just living off the goodness of the people. And I think we still have that idea in mind, but it's like, well, now you can write books based on your expertise. You can,
you keep saying that, but that can't be his only sense.
That's not just, well, I'm just saying like I'm
I
thinking
wrote a
of
book.
pastors.
I'm
saying
survive.
Pastors. Well, because you also don't have that same platform like pastors or Sean King would have. So a New York Times bestseller, but you can also do things like I sell jewelry online and I do, whatever it is. There's ways to have multiple streams of income. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that people just have to sit around and be broke based on our expectations. But where I did like raise an eyebrow was at the fact that he then went on and asked for money for personal expenses, because I was like, well, if now you have to hire security, do you really have to move? Like what
why use my money for something that y'all did? So it's like, hey, there's a hate crime that has happened. You have literally lit a Mazel Tov and threw it in my building, and now that I'm exposed, I don't know how long I can survive here. All our money and resources was locked up into this house. Now we have to move. It's like, now I need your help to get us out of here, so I don't have to use more money for the insurance. And like I'm saying, it's like why am I using more money to get out of here where you guys were the one who?
Well, it was only a few sources that leaked it, so then he should go to those few sources. And these people all these other people are saying like, the question is, what did you do with the other money that you raised under Tamir's Rice names that you said was going to his foundation? Mm-hmm. If we never got it, like, so it's now like, now there maybe should be an audit, like, of what you said. Like, that part I don't mind. Like, I don't mind when churches and nonprofits have to say, this is where this money went, this is how we spent it, because you have a certain level of accountability.
Right.
When people are giving you money and that's your existence.
Right. Follow the money.
But I just think it just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. And for that to be, he said, it's clearly not safe anymore, which was the point. It's not lavish. It's not excessive. But those were lies, and it's ruined. That's what he's talking about, the house. He says thousands of you had asked me and Miss Ray King how you can help during this difficult time as we move our whole family. You can Cash App, and he left his wife's Cash App, and then their PayPal and their Zelle and their Venmo. We now need to find a new home, relocate, and have 24/7 security. These costs outrageous. So I just be like, stay in your house and get 24/7 security.
He's a threat. Say for instance, you're traumatized. Mm-hmm. Say for instance, someone broke into your house and you woke up and there's a person on top of you. You know, and be like, I need security. You be like, every time I get in this bed, I'm going to remember this. So if you're traumatized, you're like, I gotta get out of here.
But what are you going to do if your address keeps leaking? Like, you're going to move every time?
Yeah, that's a bar.
Like, unfortunately, you're in the celebrity eye. Like, people find out where celebs live all the time. Celebs have security.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I don't know if Justin Bieber left. Same thing happened to him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So the situation sucks. I hate that, the safety of his family, that they have to regather in this place that you work for. You finally got a home in your name. And that moment was soured by, people's claims and expectations. But he's not new to this either. Like, he's frequently being challenged and questioned about where his money is. When you keep hearing it, it's kind of like, is there some legitimacy to this? Like, you keep getting blamed for the same thing over and over.
Right. I mean, does he need to tell people where he doing his money? Like, what if somebody asks you what you doing with your money?
Nobody is giving me a dime, so none of your business.
I don't know. Is it going to him personally, or is it going to
Well, those are where the accusations are. So it's like, maybe, I don't know if his nonprofit has been audited, so maybe that needs to be something. Maybe Sean King doesn't need to be audited, but his nonprofit should.
Well, he's doing what he's supposed to do. He like, I found out a lot of information from his page. So his page is very resourceful. So he built his platform from that, and that rubs a lot of people wrong. What he's doing, is that right or wrong? That he's providing a platform to know what happened today. Let's go to Sean King's page. Right. He literally just kind of posts things that could, can ruffle some feathers.
Yeah. I mean, love him or hate him. People have strong opinions about him. For various reasons. But I do think, I don't, like, again, I'm going to say, I never expect people to have to be broke just because of whatever the calling is on your life. Right. I don't think that's fair. I get it from back in the day, but here we are in a new era with technology that allows you to make more money. Mm-hmm. And not even to say that he's balling. I'm just saying that if a person has that opportunity to make money, now don't go pimping on the people and just saying, I need your money, please pay me, and not telling us where it's going. Like, you do have to be held accountable to some point. I think it's bad if your full income comes from the church and you ain't got no side hustle and your parishioners are all like broke. That says something else about, that's a different type of evil.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Your honest opinion, because I know you're going to say the latter, but imagine making $35,000 a year, right? Just happen to have $35,000 a year. You figured out that this child who has a deviated septum, who could sing like Whitney Houston, and you said, hey guys, I came across this young lady. She needs to get the surgery to get this deviated septum. Starting a nonprofit because I found out this is a big thing, man. I realized that she's in a community of children that has the same issue. We want to raise money, and we're going to call it under her name. It's going to be the Johnny Sally Foundation, and we're going to raise money for all the kids that's out there like that. You turn to find out your nonprofit that you started is making $6 million a year. At some point, you're going to be like, I created this. I have put the money where it needs to go. I feel like it should be a raise. There should be money going this way. Like you're.
So the beautiful thing about nonprofits is that there's a certain structure that it has to uphold, and it should always be a board in place. So I can't just decide to give myself a raise. The board has to approve giving me a raise. That accountability helps you so much. And a good nonprofit, like only a certain amount, like I think it's under 25%, something like that, of its income or of its total expenses should be operating expenses. So that includes offices, staffs, or whatever. And then like there's a healthy ratio, and the rest of the money is going to this work.
You're just assuming an established nonprofit. What if I said I just started it? You're assuming that I've gotten a whole cast of people already. What if the first
No, I'm just
time
saying,
you
like,
call out?
because nonprofits there's this great organization called GuideStar.
And you're still thinking that this is an established nonprofit?
No, well, I mean, before you say I'm starting a nonprofit, you have to start an LLC. You have to get all the paperwork in place to do a nonprofit.
Okay, my bad. I
So,
can't apologize. You don't apologize.
Oh, okay. But there's also Like in GuideStar and all these different charity organizations, once you have a certain amount of years under your belt, will look at your audit, like look at your reports and do its research to rate you, so people know, like, should I give to this nonprofit? Is this a good one to give to?
Right.
And so there's certain things in place to help make sure you're not being bamboozled.
So if that's the case, why don't you go to this, like what you saying, go through that? Have you done that yet?
For
You said there's certain structures of figuring out, should I get to this nonprofit or not?
have I looked at the
Have you looked
GuideStar?
it up for Sean King? King. Have you looked it up? Now you making him news, and he's like, yeah, everything checks out.
He might, and that's why I said people could consider his nonprofit. Like, check out his nonprofit. We can look up Sean King. I don't even know his profit.
Shitting this man's life, man. You ain't even looked it up yourself.
I literally said,
you haven't done your due diligence.
I literally
man.
said I don't think people should be broke.
You ain't looked up your due diligence.
I also said I'm not a reporter.
But
we having conversation.
But you have his name on that.
We having conversation.
But you have his name on that, right?
Yeah.
So you looked him up.
We having conversation. Do you understand what a conversation is?
We're conversing. I understand that.
Yeah.
But you found something. You said, where's his money going? We got to follow the money.
No, what did I say? What did I say, Dion?
I got time for that.
Why do we expect activists to be broke? And I also quoted his actual tweet.
Okay. But you said, why is he raising money on his platform versus what?
I said, why is he using his personal platform to raise money?
Versus, that's even more disrespectful. You say, hey, go over to my nonprofit, raise money for me.
Well, because he uses his personal platform. He does use his personal platform to say, hey, this is a cause. That's where people go to get information about Sean King. Mm-hmm. So that's Sean King's brand. Like, Tamika Mallory says, like, her Tamika Mallory page is just Tamika Mallory. Don't come to Tamika Mallory's page expecting to see stuff about her nonprofit. Mm-hmm. She was like, that's my whole nonprofit page. So some people can separate it.
Right. He don't.
That is his.
Okay. Got you. All right, y'all. You guys have been great. I'm hot.
Absolutely.
I'm tired. And I have a corn on my foot.
Wow. That's a lot of information right there.
Getting that info.
Well, as we wrap up, I just want to say, be sure to follow Lacktoast ENT on IG. That's Lacktoast ENT on IG. Also follow LTE Visions on Instagram to find out more about what we're doing here in the studio. We're doing some renovations, so we have some cool things that you can see. Keep up with the studio life there at LTE Visions. Also, you'll be able to find out information about the Build Up Network. We have some really cool things coming down the pipe. We're looking for photographers and models specifically at this time, so be sure to go to our page, share that information so you can see what's happening on the studio side and then on our work and creative side at Lacktoast ENT. Woo, I said a lot right there.
You sold that.
Woo.
Yeah.
Also, yes. I just want to say thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you can get notified each time we have a new episode. As I promised, we got some content coming down the pipe that you don't want to miss. And if you're on Facebook, please be sure to follow our page so you can follow information there.
Yes. Ram. Why they call that? It's a random ass mug. All right. Hopefully
Until
that's
next
the same
week.